Joe, I wanted to talk to you about value propositions, and it's something we see an awful lot of. There's value propositions we see out in the market from large brands, but founders for small businesses, entrepreneurs, when they start out, they probably have a proposition, an idea in their head about what their proposition is. However, there are propositions and there are propositions, are there not? And are there actually, I think, problems or challenges, shall we say, in forming a meaningful, a useful proposition that's actually going to work with your audience? But where would you start with this?
I think the interesting thing is that when you've got a new business or idea, you're understandably really excited and you're completely immersed in it, particularly if it's a technical, complex business. And that then results in three things that make it hard to create a meaningful value proposition. The first is a lack of clarity, as you sometimes get bogged down into the technicalities of it. Secondly, not being focused on the customer needs because you're thinking too much about it from your point of view, not about the customer's point of view. And what comes out of those two is a lack of sufficient differentiation. So, and that's kind of the essence of getting a meaningful value proposition: clarity, customer centric on needs, and it's differentiating. So that's the challenge that founders have when they're creating their value proposition.
Yeah, and it's also difficult, I suppose, to for them to think, well, okay, how do I actually focus my understanding of what these customer needs are? Because I mean, if you're saying, well, I have a proposition, I'm excited by my new technology, my new solution. I think, great, this is going to help people. I don't know. Open bananas more easily, or it's going to help people to achieve some sort of, make shopping easier, a great new app or something like that. So this is great. It's going to make people's lives easier in
Yes,
this way.
but
But
that's because you tend to understandably think it all from your own point of view. So if you've got some very smart technology, let's say a cool new 3D printer, you'll be thinking all about the technology, you'll be thinking about how to build it, you'll be thinking about introducing it to people. But you need to sort of think very carefully about who's going to be using it, why they're going to be using it, and how it's actually going to differentiate itself from all the others. Otherwise, you just get completely bogged down on things. And the number of websites we've all been onto, and something looks really interesting, but then you've read through the first few paragraphs and you don't really understand what it is.
yeah.
That also, people also fall into the trap with value propositions of thinking we've got to create something really clever and memorable. Now, that can actually take a very, very long time to do. And they muddle up the slogan with the tagline. So let's say a tagline for Nike could be, or rather is, just do it. Everybody knows that. That's associated with it. That's not their value proposition. But they also had, during the Olympics, I don't know if you remember, they had in connection with Mo Farah, the long distance runner, they had twice the guts, double the glory, which worked in parallel with it. Now, those are different things, and those are copywriting exercises which are different from the value proposition, which is the value I'm going to get for it, which I understand and which I'm willing to pay for, because price actually comes into it. You've got to be able to pay for it. And you're probably thinking, well, how do we go about doing this now? How do we solve
Yeah,
the problem?
this is exactly it, isn't it? 'Cause you need models, you need ways to actually understand how to bring this all together. So I mean, from my side, I mean, I'm obviously going on about data and market research and analytics all the time, and I think that's crucial for that getting that understanding, isn't it? Because you say, well, this is my product, my solution, but I need to go out and I need to understand, perhaps first of all secondary research, then primary research,
Mm.
to understand, well, what is the audience actually, where are they, what are they thinking about, what are their needs, and then trying to match those to their lifestyle, and how our solution plugs into their lifestyle. But you need to bring those together, don't you, and actually have a way of doing that effectively.
You do, and also you actually have to put aside the time to really, really understand who your audience is, not just at a wide level, but as a specific end user level, which is why quite often we talk about giving people strategies and models to follow. And at the heart of this is actually understanding what are the real pain points that customer has, what are they looking to gain? Not what you think they should be gaining, but what they are looking to gain. And putting those two things in the context of their everyday working jobs. And if you can start to do that, then you're starting to think about it from their point of view. And the model that we tend to follow on our courses and when we're working is the strategizer model, which forces you to go into great detail of it. There are lots of sort of high level approaches and models that you can do, which are a bit of a quick fix. But I think if you're doing this for the long term, you've really got to go into the detail of it, which is also fun because you learn something from it as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think it's that I've really enjoyed the whole piece of, building your persona to begin with. And then you've got your persona and that understanding of your ideal target audience. But as you say, then that matching, it's that sort of matchmaking exercise, isn't it? With a strategizer model of, the pains, the gains, the jobs, the things that people in your persona audience need to do. And then I think as well, from a marketing standpoint, I love the idea of testing that and saying, okay, well, let's now understand, this is now where we've got to with an idea of a proposition. We're actually testing this out. And as you said before about Nike and these other well-known brands, it takes a long time well, the initial phase doesn't have to take forever, but you need to do the homework to get in place that proposition. And then it's testing and developing, isn't it?
I'll give you an example on something I've been involved with to do with a business which will be in Italy. And we had a statement on a brochure which was discover the DNA of Italian creativity, which was fine. It was sort of worked. People were curious about it, but it was missing a vital bit. And we had some feedback from some people we were working with. It was actually what it was actually going to do for the person who's reading it. And so we've now quite naturally changed it from discover the DNA of Italian creativity to discover the DNA of Italian creativity to elevate your business, because then they're all of a sudden getting a sense of what they're going to do from that. It's going to elevate, it's going to grow their business. So it's quite easy, even if you've been doing it for a while, to make lots of mistakes and forget about what the end user or the customer is looking to get from your product or service. It's hard.
Absolutely.
I think it's hard.
Yeah, yeah. As you said, it is hard, and it's that case of you're trying to get closer and closer to it, aren't you? And then to evolve that understanding, and ultimately, you're looking to develop some sort of relationship with your ideal target audience, and any relationship takes this understanding, this coming together, and a way of enhancing that understanding over time. So I think that's the thing. It's not set in stone as a one-off, is it? It's an ongoing process which you need to continually invest time in doing. But in terms of founders, that you can at least utilize models to get you started on this, because it's going to take you an awful lot more time if you don't use a model and a way to understand and create your value proposition.
You've just mentioned the time word about 3 times in the past 30 seconds, which is interesting because that is the challenge for founders. It's about them making the time to do this because they've got a runway, they're trying to get meetings, they're trying to get the product right, but they have to make the time in order to think about these things. And it is a good investment of their time. So I think that's the really important thing for them.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that sums it up quite nicely, really, in terms of investing the time in models in ways to actually develop a strong and meaningful value proposition, and then having that understanding and evolving it going forward. It's so important to do, and I think an open invitation for people to really try and focus on that, and they should be.
Okay, well, we've talked about value propositions. What shall we talk about next?
Well, I'm wondering whether we talk about marketing plans, perhaps. I mean,
Let,
that's one of my areas.
well, let's do that next time.
Okay, we will do. We will do marketing plans, the problems with marketing plans, why founders need them, and then how to make the most of them. I think that'd be
I
great.
look forward to asking you the tricky questions.
Thank you. Thank you much, Joe. I'm sure you will. For next time, then.